This meeting is being recorded.
Tonight we'll go back in time to seasons past, when 22 men graced the rugged fields of yesterday, fighting for one more first down, one more yard gain, one final score that would bring victory after 60 minutes of battle on the gridiron. Tonight, we'll explore the world of Gridiron Greats. Welcome to Gridiron Greats Football History and its Memorabilia on the Sports History Network in conjunction with Swick Enterprises, and we're live from the Southport, North Carolina home of Gridiron Greats Magazine. I'm Bob Swick, publisher and editor of Gridiron Greats Magazine, and I'll be your host for the show. Gridiron Greats Magazine is the only publication in America that focuses upon the history and memorabilia of the North American football game since its inception in 1869. We cover 150 plus years of football history and memorabilia, and you can find us on the web at gridirongreatsmagazine.com. It is at this time I'd like to introduce my co-host. He's a senior contributing writer to Gridiron Greats Magazine, a football memorabilia historian specializing in pre-World War II items, in particular Red Grange, and also Seattle Seahawk items, in particular Steve Largent.
Yep.
He hails from Portland, Oregon. Mr. Joe Squires. Joe, welcome to the show today.
Such fervor, Bob. Guess who took their B12 vitamin? I love it. But think of that, the perfect bookend. Red Grange to Steve Largent, the absolute spanning the history of the NFL.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. That is, to me, the purity of the game from its infancy to the complex nature of what the game has become today. A theoretical delight of overcoaching and incredible contracts and hard AstroTurf and so on and so forth. It's great.
I love it when they mic up, like when coaches get mic'd up and then they play it after the game, and you just realize how simple it is. It's like, hey man, you got to cover that guy in the A gap when he comes busting through. Exactly. I mean, it's just so simple where it's like, well, yeah, of course you have to cover that guy. Great coaching.
Do a huddle microphone and you hear somebody like Mahomes say to Kelsey, just go down. I'm going to pump it up in the air. Yeah, I'll stick my hand out and I'll be down in the air. Just throw it at me. Yeah, all right. On three.
Head towards the sky box where your girlfriend is, and then take a left at the goal line.
Catch it out there. All right, we're going to lead off. We got a big show today. I'm going to lead off with something. I'm going to hand off to you, Joe, and hopefully our audience can see this. It is a PSA 7.
What?
1961 Packers Lake to Lake Herb Adderley card. And before the show, I was searching the inventory here in the compound, and I found 3 PSA graded cards, but they're in the news. And Joe, fill us in.
PSA hits the news last night. They are purchasing SGC in Florida. The rich get richer, and the TPG giants encroach on even further. PSA, what did they have? 74% of the grading.
Correct.
CSA, I think at 10. I mean, this, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
2 points I got to throw in right away. Number one, when you control 85% of the hobby, so what are we going to do? We're going to have PSA Elite and then PSA Light. PSA Light is SGC. I don't know. We're going to keep the what's the word? The 2 grading companies, so we have different slabs, so on and so forth. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, other than they're getting market share, they're controlling market share, and as such, that's really all they're concerned with. And I can only imagine how much this deal was cut for. And it was basically, in my opinion, and I'll be harsh about it, you're buying some graders that you have in Boca Raton there. You're doing work for PSA.
You're buying the SGC brand. The SGC brand is, very strong in vintage collectors. PSA has the rap on modern stuff. I mean, Beckett is mostly modern. Right. What is it? CSA is mostly non-sport. So I mean, here PSA has a smaller market share. I mean, I think SGC has like 25% of the vintage market.
Right.
So a trusted holder, a good-looking holder, faster turnaround times, better customer service, crappy registry. They have been promising to fix the SGC registry forever. So perhaps this is the catalyst. I mean, will PSA start accepting SGC cert numbers on the registry? Will will it get a haircut, in the algorithm?
Well,
I don't know. It's just, I don't know what the definition of monopoly is, but, after the merger, owning, 84% of the market share and being able to dictate prices and turnaround times and specials and et cetera, that's quite a bit.
well, I think it's from a pure economics point of view, it was possibly going to happen. I really thought SGC had a pretty nice niche. They were happy with what they were doing. They obviously were making money one way or the other. And now we have a very limited market as far as graded cards are concerned. PSA controls the market. It's not a monopoly market. It'd be considered in economic terms an oligopoly market where you have one large manufacturer controlling the smaller 2 and/or 3.
Look at the captain, just put on his instructor hat again. Nice job, Bob.
I have to get that out. Teaching economics for 42 years plus now. I have to clarify that. But I don't think it's, as much as I really am not a big fan of Fanatics taking over the market the way they have, I'm not really a big fan right now of PSA taking over the market the way they have. And, I know it is what it is, and I am powerless. We're all powerless, in this whole scheme of things. I continue to say, again, being a dinosaur in the hobby and being as old as I am in the hobby, I'm glad I really never got sucked into the graded card phenomenon. And, it may cost me down the road. It may not. Who knows? And I was talking to a friend of mine about this earlier today, collecting friend. He only collects baseball. I obviously only collect football. And he says, what would happen if a dealer came in and they took your run of 92 sets and they said, we're going to grade all the keys. We're going to buy your collection. We're going to grade all your keys. We're going to sell off your entire collection. And all we want to do is we'll take a cut of the graded cards. We're going to pay for the grading of it, so on and so forth. And we're just going to take it from there, type of thing. And I said, I really don't know. And I said, what kind of hurt me to see some of my childhood cards having to get slabbed, being entrapped like that. As to me, they almost have a human form, owning them for, over 50, 60 years type of thing. And I don't really understand. Again, I do understand and I don't understand the whole view of the graded situation. So it's mind-boggling to me. And again, I'm not really excited about this merge.
Yep. We're all living in Nat Turner's sandbox. I mean, Dave Foreman, SGC has been so poorly run for so many years.
Yep.
I mean, Dave Foreman, it is his hobby. I mean, I literally think he bought it, whatever, the 15 years ago, to get expedited grading and, wink, wink grades on his personal collection. So, I mean, it's sad to see it go. Obviously, both companies are privately held, so we'll never know the terms of when it got sold. But I think SGC should have been. I mean, there people have talked about it for a long time. A group of hobbyists should buy SGC and turn it around, fix the registry, make it a spin towards being more hobby friendly, et cetera. And it should be privately owned.
Right.
I mean, by someone who cares about it, not folding it into the brand to gobble up another 10 points of market share.
SGC used to be a big advertiser for Gridiron Greats for years.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, when they had the changeover there several years back, they dropped all their print ads. So it was pretty major. And the limited conversations I had with Dave over the years, he was pretty adamant about it. He said, "I'm dropping all print, and that's it."
Yeah.
And you wanted to talk about something else
Oh my! Heritage auctions closed on Saturday. There were some heavy hitters in there. I'm just going to talk about a couple things.
Okay.
I know we don't like to talk about little white round ball, where you hit it with a stick game, but a PSA 8.5 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle sold for $2.37 million with the buyer's premium.
Wow.
That's almost double the previous all-time record. SGC 100 Walter Payton rookie card 1976 Topps number 148 sold for $75,000. That includes premium. That's an SGC 100 pristine, and
Wow.
there you see SGC 100s actually carry a higher premium than PSA 10s just because they're a little more strict to get that extra bump. So 75,000, nearly double what a PSA 10 would sell for. And then I brought this up in the last show, but there were two competing TPG labels. The 1981 Topps Joe Montana rookie card. There was a PSA 10 in this auction, side by side with a BGS pristine 10 in all four touches. And the BGS 10 was leading the PSA 10 and the last show, and you said, PSA will catch up. Well, actually, BGS increased their lead. The PSA 10 Joe Montana rookie card sold for $40,000. The BGS 10 went for over double, $102,000.
Wow, that is shocking to me.
So there is obviously a premium to the little nuances when like SGC very rarely puts that 100 on a grade, and then BGS very rarely adds that 10 pristine 10. So actually a double premium assigned to that. So there's niches within the hobby. PSA isn't the overlord of TPG, and when it comes to certain higher end cards.
Well, one quick question to throw out, and I was thinking about this before the show. Is there going to be premiums now, even more so, for any SGC 100s in the market that are remaining? Or are they not going to be broken out? They're just going to be, we're going to, pay tribute to SGC and keep them that way?
Very good question. I hadn't thought of that, but obviously there's a premium on it right now because the Walter Payton rookie card pristine 100 went for nearly double what a PSA 10 does.
Right.
So yeah, I guess once the supply runs out, once there is no more pristine 100, obviously there will be a premium to it. That makes sense. Yeah, hadn't thought about it.
Right, and I think that's where there's going to be a lot of hot action going on, especially from maybe speculators or investors who bought up those hundreds. They're saying, "Hey, now's the time. Hit the fire when it's hot, and see what you can get for them," type of thing.
You heard it here first. Hot football card action in the SGC 100 era from Bob Swick. Some unopened sold, which set records. 1967 Topps cello box, 36 unopened cello packs went for $72K.
Wow.
That's big. That's 2,000 a cello pack. And then the next year, the sophomore year, 1968 Topps cello box with 36 unopened cello packs went for 99,000, so nearly 3,000 a pack. So unopened, very, very hot. And I just wanted to give a honorable mention to a Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl ring that went for 26K. And then some things I was watching really tight. I didn't mention in the last show because I don't like to out auctions I'm tracking.
Right.
But an uncut sheet from 1966 Topps. I've never seen one before. So very rare. Went for 14,000, including buyer's premium. So obviously, there's some other people out there, some other football card collectors who are really hot on uncut sheets because never seen one. It went for a lot.
Obviously, you didn't pick up that sheet, then.
No, just like that. I like sleeping in my own bed, not on my couch. And then something I'd mentioned: 1963 Fleer football wax pack box. So not the two cellos I'd mentioned. 24 1963 unopened packs in the box. 204,000.
Wow.
204,000, which is about 8,500 a pack.
Wow.
So they're unopened, BBCE graded or authenticated. Obviously, is absolutely hot. So
that's shocking. That is absolutely shocking. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Some stuff definitely rising prices and unopened. So obviously the market trusts, Steve Hart's label.
So we got just to wrap this up, and we're going to get with our special guests. 3 points I gotta reiterate here. Watch HBC 100s in the market. Continue unopened wax that has been sealed by our good friend Steve, and also watch uncut sheets. Your favorite, your forte.
Don't watch uncut sheets.
Don't watch. I'm sorry. Ignore.
Watch Joe Montana rookie cards.
Ignore those uncut sheets, so that especially those 35 chickle sheets that are floating, and the 1896 Mayos that are out there. Those sheets.
Yeah. Look at you!
Wow, what an introduction! I'm good thing I'm sitting down, because this is a lot of information to handle all at once here.
Yeah.
Our special guest is here. I'd like to introduce him to our audience and conduct our interview. Our special guest has been collecting football cards since 1973, when at the tender age of 5 years, he used his birthday money from his grandma to buy a shoebox full of football cards at a local yard sale. He was immediately hooked. He spent his weekly allowance on cards. The collection helped him to learn how to count, read, memorize, organize, and collate. He even improved his artistic skills by studying and drawing pictures of his favorite players. As an adult, card collecting is very important to him, as he loves the thrill of the chase, the excitement of finding what he needs or has to have. He loves the smell and feel of raw cards and focuses on trying to build raw sets. He has no hesitation in cracking open a slab. He owns one of the first complete sets of 1977 Topps Mexican football cards ever built that are straight from Mexico City, Mexico. Completed in 1978, it is in excellent condition and is a surviving piece of football history, a time machine that mirrors what millions of other kids in the United States were doing at the same exact time: collecting, building, collating, and chewing gum.
I love that.
We hail from Southwest Colorado. I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Paul Cintura. Paul, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking time out of your day and joining us.
Look at that backdrop. That is outstanding.
I did stage that for everybody, and I
Look at
did
you showing off.
Wow.
with the things that I really love in my collection.
Absolutely. Outstanding. Well done.
Joe, I wanted to say something real quick. In the last issue of Gridiron Greats, there's a picture of one of the Topps Mexicans that's featured there, and it's a wrong back. Noah Jackson on the front from the Bears, and on the back, Steve Largent's rookie card. That, in fact, and that in fact is one of the cards from the Medina set that we're going to be talking about here.
Interesting.
When I received the cards and I was looking through them, I saw that and I turned it over and I said, wait a second, something's really strange about this. Now, I don't have the card anymore. I passed it on to Jim Ragsdale as a favor because he is the guru and he has a huge collection of these wrong backs and strange cards. Yep. So I thought it would be apropos to add it to his collection, with the caveat that if he ever dares to sell it, he has to bring it back to me. So
flip that card, Paul, and you saw the perfect words, the receptor abierto, wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. I mean, that's what we need more in the hobby. If you hand something to somebody, you hand it back if you have to sell it, type of situation. That's
sure.
Welcome to the program, first of all, and I want you to please tell us about how you got interested in football card collecting.
Well, as you said in the introduction, I was 5 years old. I was at a yard sale. I saw the box of cards, and it just sparked my interest. I took them home. I organized them. They ranged in years from maybe 65 up to 72. Wow. And they were loved. There wasn't anything special about them, but they were all football, and I laid them out and I tried to organize them based upon what they looked like as far as the years and everything. And I figured it out on my own. And I was just so enamored with them, and I loved them so much. They were my favorite. I would say they were probably my favorite toy. So I'm a Foreign Service brat, State Department kid. I grew up all over the world. My dad worked for the State Department. So we were stationed in Honduras and Panama in the mid 70s. And after Virginia, after I bought that yard sale box of cards, we were in Panama, and it was show and tell day at school. And a kid, he was probably, I think he was Mexican. His father was one of the engineers at the Canal Zone, and he brought in a handful of cards, and they were the Topps Mexicans. I looked at them and I said, those are interesting. Those are cool. And I remember, I said, I have some cards, but they're not in Spanish. And so when I got back to the States in 78, I attacked and began buying cards again with my allowance. I purchased the 77 set as much as I could. I purchased the 78 set and just built and built and built and built and kept going through them. And the idea of the Topps Mexicans went on the back burner, and I just never really thought about them again, because it was just one of those things that you see in a passing fancy and you never see again. At least that's what I thought. So fast forward, we got stationed in Cairo from 81 to 85, Cairo, Egypt. And I'm standing in line at the commissary, which is the grocery store at the embassy. Standing in line at the commissary, I look to the right, and there is a box of 1981 Topps football cards. And I'm thinking, wow, I should buy a couple. I had $1 in my pocket. I bought 4 packs or 5 packs, whatever it was. And I pulled a Montana rookie out of it. And I said to myself, wow, okay.
Well, you just put a bow on the entire show.
Right. It's drawing. Football cards are drawing me back in. They're drawing me back in. At the same time, of course, I discovered girls, and I'm thinking, okay, this is much more important to me. And so I put the cards in the back. Years go by. I'm in college. I went along with a friend who loved to go to those to pack bust at the local collecting store, and he would stand there with his friends, and they would try to get the best cards out of it. I wasn't interested. I gravitated towards the display cases of vintage cards. And I looked in there, and I immediately saw I think it was a 71 Chris Hamburger. And it reminded me of what was in that box that I bought when I was at the yard sale, because I had that card, and I looked at it and I said,
the box is long gone. The box is long gone by now, the contents of it. Or did you hang on to them?
I kept them till about 10 years ago. And like all collectors, I decided to pass them on to another young collector in the hopes that it would inspire that kid as much as it inspired me to begin the collection. So
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants Part 2.
Right.
Nice job.
Perfect. So I passed them on, and I told them, don't worry, these are well loved. And there was all sorts of really great cards in there. It was just that they were well loved. And collectors today won't look at them twice because they're well loved. So I was drawn back in by the Chris Hamburger rookie, or not rookie card, but the 71 card. And I said to myself, well, here we go again. And this was mid 90s. And within a couple of years, I discovered the Mexicans online. eBay was in its infancy. It was easy to buy. It was easy to buy stuff on eBay. It was safe. And I just began collecting again, and realizing that this was my calling and this is what I loved to do. It made me happy. Now, I think both of you can probably understand this. Trying to explain to someone, a loved one, a girlfriend, a wife, trying to justify purchases and trying to justify what you spend, and then explaining to them, well, honey, it's a piece of cardboard and it's got this guy and his favorite thing, and it's so awesome and I love it and it's great. I love the way it smells and the way it feels, and yeah, it's just awesome. And she'll look at me and So that's how I got into it, and that's why I love it, and that's why I love football cards. And also, I said that I love cracking cases. I won't hesitate. I love SGC. I think their presentation is much better than PSA, but I will crack a case in a heartbeat, unless, of course, it's like a really high grade, really nice card, and it just looks great, and I'll just leave it in there. But most of the time, I'll crack them.
Don't crack any 100s, whatever you do.
I've never even seen one.
This morning, right now, they are going to go through. Do not crack them open. So
yes,
What a great story. That is so cool.
Yeah. So I think it's all about paying it forward. Maybe not paying it forward, but trying to treat collectors as you would want to be treated. You know, golden rule. I guess you could apply it here. I still, I just want other people to be as enthusiastic about it as I am. I have a friend who's turning 60 next week, and I just casually asked him what his favorite players were, and I purchased all of the cards. Unfortunately, he said, "Oh, Bobby Orr's my favorite hockey player," and I thought to myself, I can't get him a rookie Bobby Orr card at 6,000. I think one just recently sold for $6,000 or something. So I said, no, I can't do that. But I did buy him a Peyton rookie, a mid-grade Peyton rookie, and some other stuff, just because I want other people to see the passion that's in there and to remind them we're all still kids in some sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've opened packs since 1965. The one thing I truly miss is going, to a physical card shop, and buy some packs of something. So I got to go at the Walmart, and I'm looking at this stuff. I have no clue what it is, and I'm saying, why am I spending $10 a pack to open up, 20 cards or whatever? I don't even know half the people, half the players. But I get your story so clearly. I still remember opening my first packs in 1965. It was
so would you be tempted to open that box of 63 Fleers?
Oh no, that's too expensive.
If I had money, I probably would open a few packs of it, type of thing, just to
just because. Yeah.
I'm still looking somehow for a 65 Topps pack to open, but I'm not going to blow 5,000, 6,000 just to buy a pack and open it, type of thing. But it'd be
Bob,
cool.
Bob, the last 65 tall boy wax pack went for about 18,000.
All right, so I take that. I could buy a lot for $20,000 for crying out loud down here.
Was that 65 slabbed, or was it a raw and BBCE or something?
BBC. The PSA doesn't slab tall boy
they
packs. So it was BBCE encapsulated and sealed.
Right. Wow.
So not PSA.
It's so tempting, like Bob said, it's so tempting to want to rip them open and just say, "Oh yes."
I don't know why. I have zero thoughts about opening wax. It's just, it never even, it's not, the telltale heart there. For me, it's just, hey, this is a piece of history and it deserves to be preserved and held onto. But what's funny in your bio, Paul? I mean, well, first of all, so many collectors follow the same route. Discover it as a child, walk away from it when they discover girls, and then something sparks them, later on. And they're, and it's usually when they have a little bit more discretionary income, in their mid-late 20s. And just so many people follow that same path. I followed that same path. I found myself smiling, hearing your story. In your bio, you talk about the smell and the feel of the cards and how that's so important to you. And that resonated with me so much, because just like I was telling someone in an article about like 1948 leaf cards, first thing you do is smell it, because like if a card's been soaked, or doctored or something, there's a certain smell to it. But so you just get used to that smell and the tactile, the texture of a card. It's so important. Yeah. I really like how you put that in your bio.
Yeah, definitely. Very important.
The Mexican set. I mean, you Beetlejuiced, the Jim Ragsdale name there. So we've broken spades on it. Ragsdale is quoted in an old PSA article on the Mexi set as saying, "The Largent is by far the most sought after." Well, first of all, I want to ask, do you agree with him? And then, if you'd like to share a couple of your highlights from your Mexican collection.
I get more questions about what's your Largent look like? What's your Largent look like? So I have two complete sets. The first one I built before I even got the Medina set, and I'll just go ahead and call it the Medina set from Mexico straight. But I never seem to have problems finding it, but I will say that there's more interest in that for some reason, why so many people love it. Maybe it's because it's regional and they love Largent, and he was such a badass, and he was so great. He was
Paul,
so
you and I are
great.
friends. Paul,
Yeah.
you and we just became friends.
Exactly. I never.
By the way,
Yeah.
in certain circles, what's your Largent look like is a euphemism. So just be careful what you're dealing with.
Yeah. So there are definitely some rabid Seahawk fans out there, and when I saw that wrongback Largent, I just flipped out, and I posted it on the Facebook group that I'm a member of, Vintage Football Cards, and I said, check this out, and everyone was like, oh, I'll buy it. I'm like,
That's
not
cool.
for sale, guys, not for sale. I just want you all to see this, because it is possible to see some of the coolest things, and this was one of the coolest things that I'd seen. So definitely very cool. I met Alejandro Medina's son. Alex is younger. He's maybe in his 30s. I met him, and he mentioned to me that his dad was a collector, and one thing led to another. And the next thing I knew, I had the full story about how he had collected as a kid, the same age as we were. And that's how we bonded over it. And that's how I convinced him to pass the set on to me. And as a consolation, I just told him that I had no intention of ever selling the set. I might part out one or two pieces of it, but I had no intention of trying to sell it and flip it. My main intention was to preserve it, because it's a piece of history. And what's more important, there's a provenance on it that we can prove that it actually came. It was the first one of these kids that built this, and he had the same mentality that a lot of the kids like me had. There's you buy it, you collate, you collect it, you put it away. And he didn't play with them. He just kept them in really good condition. They're not all perfect, but a lot of them are. So that was what was really shocking and really exciting to me when I first saw them. I asked him to send me a couple pictures of the set before I bought it. And as soon as I saw him, I said, okay, let's close this. It's good. We're good. So they were more than happy to pass it on to me, because they knew that I was just as passionate about it Alejandro was when he was 10, and we're the same age. Everything happened the same. It was just perfect for it to come to me. And I'm so glad and fortunate that I have it. And I plan on keeping it till I don't know, till I'm so old that I can't see the cards anymore, probably. Got another 20 years easily.
Wow.
I want to try. I'm not super awesome with these, but I'm going to try and see if I can flip. Yes, I can. Okay. So here is from the article. Here is the blank. Yeah. So you can see that. That's the one that was featured in the article.
Right.
That's the one from the Medina set. And then I'll pan over here. Here is the actual set itself. It came to me in a 770, card box. And I put it in sheets. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is complete. And then I pulled out some of the cards. Some of the checklists were checked and some of them weren't. But I went ahead and pulled out some of the cards.
That's what your Largent looks like.
That's what you want. Yeah. So that's what came out. That's what came out of the set. And it's really nice. It's, it's Mexican worn, as we call it. It's not overly loved. It wasn't played with. He didn't do anything weird.
That classic AA hanging over Largent. Yep.
So, these are just some examples of what was in the set. This card right here was featured in the article.
Right.
I believe, I don't know if this one was also, but this was one of the cards he sent me as a picture. And I said, oh my goodness, I got to have that. This is awesome. This is awesome. And, like I said, some of them were checked. Here's a couple of them, the checklists were checked, but yet they were still in pretty good condition. He did what other kids did, like we did in the United States. We get the checklist and we check them off and we say, mission accomplished. I did it. So yeah, no, that's been really cool. And I'm just so happy about it. Now I did send Alex the Gridiron Greats magazine, the actual copy of it, just because I wanted to share it with him and make sure that he knew that.
That's really classy of you. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I told him I would, and it was a big important thing for me to make sure that he realized that I wasn't just BSing him, and I wanted to make sure he knew that, that this is real deal, and that this is going to become
And, and you did the humble, gracious thing. You gave a nod to him in the article too. So, I mean,
Sure, I had to.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I had to. And it's especially since, like I said before, he's my age and we did the same thing thousands of miles apart. It was amazing. Just an amazing story. And I'm just so happy that we were able to make the connection and be able to save the set. And you know, there's a lot of stuff that comes up from Mexico that is pieced together or partial, and that is just really beat, Mexican loved, as we call it, as Jim would call it. And it is just rounded corners, beaten up, folded like it was in somebody's pocket, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, I do love the set. However, it is not my ultimate favorite piece, which I have to say, or pieces from my collection. It was something that I began to run on Topps from 1950 up to 1979, because that was my goal. And I broke out the Beckett's and I looked at it and I said, what do I need? And I started checking off. I got this, I have that, I have this, I have that, and this. And I fell on the Mexicans and I said, yeah, it's time. I've got the money. Here we go. One card at a time. One card at a time.
Wow. Wow.
I got a chance to meet all the top players in it, especially Jim. eBay Dave was another guy that was in it. Mike Chang out in Virginia. I think he's the second or third on the PSA list.
Yeah.
Meet everybody at a national or something, or
you know, I met Jim through eBay, and then we started up a personal relationship. But it must have been close to 20 years ago where I was buying cards from him and saying, we got to do this, or I want to do this, or I'm trying to build this and that. And he was helping me from the beginning. If you talk to any of us, he helped more people build that set than anybody. We just did a recent, and lastly about the set, and lastly about Topps Mexicans, we just did a survey on the vintage football card group on Facebook to see how many sets there are actually out there. And we came up with documented about 31 sets. And that's in existence with a margin of error of maybe 5. And of those 5, we can't document it. There may be others that are, hidden in somebody's private collection. And there may be other people that may be saying they have sets, but haven't finished them.
So oddly enough, the sealed, unopened wax boxes for 77 Mexi aren't as rare as you would think. Are most of those from Ragsdale's unopened, case find?
They're from the original hoard that was brought up in I think it was in the 90s, and then he distributed. I think his name was Steve. Don't quote me on that, but he was the one that distributed out a lot of these cases. And Ragsdale, I believe, bought several of those cases. And from what most of us are collecting now, and most of us are building our sets off of, are what Ragsdale got from that guy. And yes, 10 years ago, you could buy a box for $250. But you have to keep in mind that a sealed box, there's only 72 cards in there.
Right.
And there's 2 cards in each pack. And there's 100% chance that one of the cards is going to have a gum stain on it, because there's 2 cards. And
I didn't know that they went 2 cards to a wax pack. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And you think about when you're a kid in the United States and you're collecting, and there's 14 or 13 or 12 cards in a set. I had more of a chance of building a set much quicker. It took Alejandro a year to build the set, and he was buying all over Mexico City. He was, affluent family, so he had the money. But him and his cousins, they were going all over Mexico City to the different places that sold them, and he was buying these packs, and there was only 2 cards in each pack, and he would just keep going until he finally found it. And at the end, he told me that he had a garbage bag full of extras, And of course, I was like, really? I was like, what happened to the garbage bag full of the extras? He's like, I don't know. He goes, I gave them to my cousins and I never saw them again.
Oh, no.
But, logically, you would think that it probably took him several thousand cards, several thousand packs.
Was Alejandro a football fan, or was he
he was one of those kids
collector?
He liked that. He liked sports, but he was also one of those kids that was heavily influenced by the idea that, oh, look at that. It's in the store. I'm going to buy it. And then as soon as the flavor went away, that exciting thing of the week went away, the next thing would come up. And then somebody else would, they would say, oh, now we're offering football cards, or we're offering hockey cards or rocking, and whatever came out, that's what the kids would buy. That's how he described it to me. I think the biggest sad part about, or the hardest part about it for Alejandro was that the price of the packs were 20 cents for 2 cards and a piece of gum. Same price we were paying in the United States. Same price, but we were getting 5 times as many cards. And this kid was spending, all of his money from his grandmother. He said his grandmother gave him a lot of money. She would slip him pesos all the time and say, "Here, go have fun. Go have fun." What a great family to do that for him. And then, when he became old and like we said, he discovered girls, he took all the cards and put them in a shoebox like a lot of us did. Luckily he didn't, he organized them by teams, but he did not do what a lot of kids did, where they put rubber bands on them. He put string around them, which is something that I did also, because I realized that the rubber bands were going to leave some kind of trace on them, or they would break and they dry out. So he did that. He put them in a closet, and it was moved to one of their farmhouses. Like I said, it's an affluent family. And his aunt was cleaning out a closet a couple of years ago, and she said, "What is this?" And she opened it and saw the cards and sent them to him. And she said, "Do you want these?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And he gave them to his son and said, "Here, maybe you could sell this for us." And so they sold it, and their only intention was, and Alejandro's intention was, "I'll take all the money and I'll take my entire extended family to Las Vegas for a week and have a great vacation." And that's what they did. So it's just a really cool story. And, Bob, I really appreciate you for putting it in the magazine as part 2. Jim and I were really adamant about doing it, mainly because we wanted more people to be aware of the set, and also because the story is just incredible. Alejandro, it's incredible. It's just an incredible story.
Truly amazing story. And actually, hearing you say it makes it even more, you can write all you can write, but here, if you verbalize the story and you actually hear it, it's an amazing story to tell. I mean, it's just, great. It's a great, point of football card history that's been preserved, and that to me is what it's all about. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, it's just a phenomenal piece, a phenomenal set at the same time. I mean, I got a handful of Mexican cards. The only thing I tried to do was to collect the Packers, and I probably got maybe 4 or 5 Packer cards and the checklist from them. That's fine with me. I mean, I knew I was never going to collect it. I'm kind of surprised though. I figured there was probably only less than 20 sets or less in existence. So when you said 31, I thought that was pretty. That's probably more like it. And, and like you said, there's always something. You never know, somebody has it buried in the house or whatever, or private collector.
That's why, and that's why I would emphasize that there's a margin of error of maybe 5. Plus or minus 5. And I'm talking with participants included some major players like Jorge Leal, who is out of Monterrey, Mexico, who has 5 sets, and he's a huge supplier to a lot of people in the United States. He's an adamant collector. He's a little bit younger than most of us, but he's an adamant collector, and he's found a way to bring people in Mexico to bring all the cards that they want, and he brokers that for them, and then he sells them to people in the United States, or he builds sets himself. He's very, very important in it. Another person is Mike Hatley, who is also from Touchdown Treasures. He's also somebody who's also an incredible collector, and by proxy, I mean, look at all the stuff that guy has in his collection and what he sells. It's amazing. But he's also been pretty fundamental to a lot of us to collect. But I got to say, the guru, Jim Ragsdale, definitely.
I think Mike Hadley a decade ago reached out to me. It was like, "I have the large and an 8.5. Would you be interested?" And
it's probably cheap.
I think at the price point, I was like, I'll stick with my 8. But yeah, it's pretty rare. Who's got the one? Because it's like 6 PSA 8s, 1 8.5, and 1 9 in the larger card, correct?
And we're gonna assume that it's most likely it's Ragsdale that has.
Is his set not public?
No, his is on the PSA registry as number 1, and I know that he's been trying to find the elusive 10 because there are no 10s, but he is trying to get them all 9s. There's a couple of 8s that he has in his set, but most of them are 9s. Almost all of them are 9s. And when you talk 528 cards, you were talking a serious investment. And he's touched more cards than anybody. He's had in his possession probably close to 30,000. The whole production run was probably a tenth of what we saw in the United States.
Right.
There's still several cards that have, max grade is a 7. The Gaines, one of the bad 4. Card number 21 has 3 7s, none higher. Yeah. That's a tough one. Mike Pruitt, who was a huge fan of the Cleveland Browns, Mike and Greg back in the days.
Greg,
6 PSA 7s, none higher, and then Drew Pearson, 20 PSA 7s, none higher. So that shows you how difficult they are. And I didn't look where those correlated to where they are on the sheet, but I mean, the sheet was different than the United States, the Estados Unidos set. It was, somebody told me it was perforated, but I find that hard to believe.
I think the reason that they brought down perforated sheets to Mexico was because they were giving secondhand equipment to the factory down there as a run, sort of like an experiment, saying, well, we're not going to give you the best equipment because we don't know how long this is going to last. So we're just going to send you what we have. And we can't send you a sheet cutter. We're going to send you perforated sheets that we have left over from another set. Here you go. You're going to have to collate, which is one of the reasons why they were hand collating, which is another reason why when you buy a box with the anticipation you're going to get a whole bunch of cards different, you might get 20 or 30 cards of the same person. And they were hand collated, especially as quality control. As the year went on, quality control at the beginning was probably pretty good. When Alejandro was collecting, he was able to get a lot of different cards in the first run. I don't think it was the first run, but in the first months of it. But as the time went on, quality control decreased and people just cared less. The ones that were packing the cards cared less. And then diversity went out the door. When someone asks me now, oh, I should buy a pack, or I'm thinking about buying a box and just cracking it. And I think I can get a Peyton rookie, or I can get a Largent rookie, or not a Peyton rookie, but a Largent rookie, or a Peyton second year, or something really great. And you're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because there's a 99% chance you're not going to get anything except one common. They're all going to be the same.
And a gum stick. Yeah.
And so the production qualities went down, and we're looking at it like it's what's left here is very minimal. Anybody out there that wants to collect, you got to deal with the big people, and you have to have, I hate to say this, but you have to have deep pockets, especially if you want to try to build the whole set, which is why a lot of people just build teams or build players, and just try to choose. It's more economical. It can be more fun because this is a tedious set to build. We just had a person graduate from partial set to complete set. Matt Dunaway, if you're out there, he just finished his, and it took him 1 year. So and it was a lot. It was an endeavor. It was definitely an endeavor because he collects all the other football cards too, and he's building sets left and right. But
Matt, subscribe to Gridiron Greats magazine.
Yes. I've told him, and I've sent him forwards on the articles and stuff, and said, yeah, this is a really cool article, or a really cool magazine. So definitely,
you're going to boost membership on your own. I love it.
Well,
thank you, Paul.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that people realize that it's not just baseball and cards out there. When I was a kid and everybody was collecting baseball, I said, nope, not going to do it. I got to have football.
So, Paul, moving along here.
Yes.
Show us or describe your top items in your collection. We were going to say.
I did build a little homage to my favorite player of all time. So let me flip this around.
That was so cool.
Some items there I think are familiar to me. I'm not sure.
If you remember, this is a poster from this is the Walter Payton poster from the back of the Sports Illustrated magazines. They used to offer these, and I probably got it for a couple of bucks. And I've had it 1978, and it's been on every wall in every house that I've ever lived in. I loved it because
so good looking.
His feet aren't touching the ground. He's floating. So that's probably my favorite piece, although it's not an actual, football card or anything, but it still is my favorite piece. Another one right here is obviously the 65 Namath. I got this from a woman who pulled this from a pack in 65. And this is the butterfly. It's not in perfect condition, but I love it because of the provenance. I got it from a woman who loved it.
Oh, very cool.
She's a very big time collector. Here's another piece that I really love. This is one of those MarketCom test blanks.
Yep.
I've only seen one or two of these. This is the only one I've seen of Walter Payton. There's another one somebody had on eBay for a while, but I love this little poster. I've had it for a long, long time. I don't remember where I got it, but it's priceless to me. And then this one right here is obviously the 72 high number set. I love how they did the I love how they did the all pros in those. I got this from a young couple whose father was dying and they needed the money, and they asked $50 for 50 cards from the set, and I said no, I can't do that, and I gave them whatever the market value was, just as a karma thing, just because I didn't think that it was right that I would undersell them. And then here we go. This is the one card I think is probably the funnest card to me. Dan Boyd, 74. Why do I love this? And why is there such an enigma behind this card? There's rumor, there's an urban myth that says that he bought up all the cards to corner the market.
Real true story about that card. He wrote to me and he said, "I'll buy all my cards." And I said, "Okay." And I sent him some, and I said, "Listen, I'll just give them to you because I you're you. Just send me the card and autograph it, and we'll call it even," type of thing. And he wrote back and he says, "I don't autograph any of them." And he put a few. I don't even know what he gave me. He gave me like a $5 bill for what I found back then, because they weren't really that. And I'm talking back in the 80s, early 90s. He wrote to me and asked me about it when I met a little lad in Beckett. So. Yeah, he was a cool guy. I like him.
Is that true? The rumor is true. He and his family are starting.
He bought up as many cards as he possibly could. He wanted to control his cards.
That's so fun.
That's one way to do it. And for me, looking at the card, the Band-Aid on the head, the shaved head, the look, that's just true football right there. Yeah. And I looked at it and said, gosh, I want to look like that when I play football. Never. Yep. But that's cool. And then the last thing that I really love is something that I'm working on, that I've been working on. 68 test teams. I only need a few more, and then the 68 test patches. I need about 16 of those, but I love these. I think these are some of the coolest cards that Topps ever made from 68. And unfortunately, there's not very many of them. And I heard that a lot of them ended up in a landfill, jumped away because they couldn't sell them or something. But anyway, those are my favorites. I love, of the other ones, I do love all the inserts. 60, 61. I've worked on a lot of those, the funny rings, the 67 pennants, the 65 rub-offs, the 62 bucks, the 64. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've got all that. What's that?
You are a collector, sir.
Well, I love all the inserts, and if I'm going to do a run, I need to have all of them, right? So that's my thing, and that's what I'm working on right now. But yeah, look, he's floating. People, look, he's floating.
I love that.
It's sweetness. He's floating. Yeah, that's
Paul,
what
your passion is contagious, my man. I love this. This is outstanding. It's funny, those posters are making a resurgence. About a week ago on VFC, our vintage football chat, somebody talked about a poster, and I forget what it was, Bob, but then I went out and bought the Steve Largent, the Seahawk poster, which has left-handed Zorn and Steve Largent catching. And I had that same poster hanging in my room and went and got it framed, and now it hangs in my office. So I'm just childhood memory.
You did go as far as getting it matted and framed?
Yeah, not matted. I mean, I'm not made of money, but
So this one right here, like I said, it's been with me since '78. When we were stationed in Cairo, that went with me. It was on my wall. I went to prep school in Maryland to finish high school, and yes, that was on my wall. It survived.
Same one, or have you had to rep
the same one? That is the same one. It is beaten up, but it's mine. It's mine. So I thought about maybe making it a permanent thing. It's not, obviously I staged this for the show, but it's usually across the room in another section of my office, and it sits on its shrine there. And that's where I look at it, because I can see it from my computer when I'm working. And I just love it, man. It's Peyton. It's sweetness. I got a chance to see him at Soldier Field play when I was a kid. And how are you not going to love this guy?
Absolutely. Hey, Paul, can you show our viewers your Walter Payton tattoo, please?
Paul, we're running out of time, so we're gonna unfortunately we're gonna have to skip around a little.
Sure.
Your segment. Any advice for a beginning collector? And I think we're gonna have to have you back on, because you still got a lot more to talk about. So
yeah. So I would say the only advice that I would think of for young collectors: do not hesitate. If you see something you want, do not hesitate because of the price. Buy it. If you see it and you want it, buy it. Don't worry about the price. Buy what you love, and just get it. Because if you pass it up, you're going to be sitting at home going, "Oh, I should have bought that. I should have bought that. I should have bought that." And regret is.
Paul, is that in reference to that 63 Fleer wax box? So you're saying I should have bought that?
Oh, I would be so tempted. Just like the $3.7 million OPC 79 80 Xbox.
Yeah.
Just, are we allowed to talk about this? But how much did HA make on that commission?
I shut the window down, but I want to say at 20%. I think they tier
20%.
the commission, the VIG at a certain rate. But yeah, they probably made $400,000 on that.
Ouch.
Easily.
Yeah,
20% is a couple million.
And unfortunately, there's probably 30 Gretzky rookies in there, and they averaged that there were probably at least about 30 in that set, or then that group in that box. But you can't open it. You have to leave it like it is. You have to.
Right.
I 100% agree.
Right.
Yeah, not many of those popping up.
You want to flood the market, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Oh.
Paul, we're pretty much out of time. I really thank you for being on. What a great story. I mean, this back memories for me, for crying out loud, with everything and seeing the inserts and so on and so forth. And
for sure.
story about the Mexican set is just so great. And again, over the years with the magazine, we've had different articles on it. We had Jim on the podcast years ago also, and he's a great guy. And I'm really glad you're the holder of that set from Mexico. I can't think of a better collector, a true collector like yourself, holding it and preserving it. That's what the hobby's all about. I wish there were more guys like you in the hobby.
Paul, you've been an amazing guest. I got to say, your passion and your smile is contagious, man. I think I'm going to be Cheshire catting for the rest of the day after talking to you.
This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys letting me showcase some of my great loves. Sweetness.
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Hey, what's your large look like, Paul?
Please, a quick warning. Handing off to you 30 seconds.
Oh, outstanding. Just Paul, amazing guest. I can't thank you enough for being on. I've got the best seat in the house talking to guests and the captain here every week. So thanks for being on.
Lots of fun. Love the magazine. Love the magazine so much. Thank you for bringing that out to the world. It's awesome.
It's a gift to the hobby.
And words, and thank you for being on. That's all we have. Hopefully we'll be back next week with another show. If you're not subscribed to Gridiron Greats magazine, what are you
waiting for?
GridironGreatsMagazine.com. And that's it. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.